Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing a recommendations video. So for this recommendations video, I thought it'd be fun to do like a fall recommendations because fall's coming up and fall is where we thrive, us book girlies. I'm excited for it. I've got a sweater on. It's boiling hot in here. Yeah, I'm sweating. I'm going to get into the recommendations. I have a mix of genres here. I have some romance, I have some fantasy, I have some thrillers and mysteries, and this is also going to be my own TBR for the fall of books that I'm getting and books that I want to read during the fall time. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first genre I'm going to be starting off with is romance. This is the one that I know the most about because I really only read romance most of the time, so I have a few romance recs for you. I feel like during the fall is small town time, so I have a lot of small town recs for you. That's basically the only romance I have. They're all just small town because it gives me cozy. The first one is probably one of my favorite books of all time, Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. This is a small town romance between Archer and Bree, and Bree has something traumatic happen to her where she ends up coming to this town where she needs an escape from her life and just needs a little break. And there she meets Archer, who is kind of outcasted from, not kind of, he is outcasted from his entire town because something traumatic happened to him where he cannot speak, and no one has even tried to learn how to communicate with him. But when Bree meets him, he learns how to communicate with her, and it's a story between the two of them. I really love this book, and it gives me all the small town feelings and all of the fall vibes. I don't know. It honestly could take place in the summer. I have no idea. It probably does take place in the summer, but I have no idea. It just gives me fall vibes, so. The next one is also another favorite of mine. It is All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata, one of my favorite books of all time. It's a small town single dad trope. It's about Aurora, and she comes back to her own small town. She ends up renting out this sort of garage, and that garage belongs to Rhodes, who is the male main character in the story, and it is an extreme slow burn because it is Mariana Zapata and that's all she does. And I really love this story. It is amazing. The connection that Rhodes and Aurora have is amazing, and you also see how Rhodes' son Amos and Aurora connect, and it's just so cute, and you see her like get welcomed into the family of the two of them, and it's just amazing. I absolutely love this. All of these romance books, I'm letting you know, could take place in the summer, but they give me fall vibes, so just like beware of that. So the next romance recommendation I have for you is an entire series. It is the Eden series by Devney Perry. This is a small town romance series. It follows one family and it follows each of the kids from that family. So there are 5 books right now, but in the fall, Sable's Peak, I think, is going to come out. And I am going to get that, obviously. I'm going to run you down quickly through each of the books and what they're about. The first one, this is the most fall vibe book, I feel. Indigo Ridge. In this book, we follow Winslow, who is the new chief of police in Quincy, Montana, where all of these books take place. We have Griffin Eden, and in this story, something happens on his farm and Winslow has to go investigate, and it's a story between the two of them. But this one also has a little mystery aspect to it, which is so perfect. Next, we have Juniper Hill, which is my absolute favorite of the series. This follows Knox in Memphis, and Knox is a chef in the hotel within this town. Memphis is a single mom who decides to move to this town, and she ends up getting a job in that said hotel and ends up living in Knox's like sort of apartment garage. I don't know why everyone has an apartment garage in small towns, but whatever. The connection that these two share is amazing. I love this book so much. And we have Garnet Flats. Follow Talia and Foster. This is a second chance romance. Talia is a doctor and Foster is a boxer, and they used to date, then something happened, and then they come together in this small town and rekindle their connection. Jasper Vale follows Eloise Eden, who runs the hotel in Quincy, Montana, and ends up getting married in Vegas to Jasper Vale, who is Foster's like sort of mentor in the boxing world, and they end up getting married and end up staying married, and we navigate through their relationship. The newest one that came out is Crimson River, which follows Lila Eden, who runs a bakery in Quincy, Montana, and Vance. And something happens to Lila when she's out on a hike, gets attacked by a man, and then Vance comes into the small town to try and figure out who this man is and what he did to her and all that stuff, and it's a romance between Lila and Vance. So another one that gives me fall vibes is Normal People by Sally Rooney. This one is like a romance, but like it's more just fiction. Connell and Marianne, and I feel like a lot of people have read this. It was very popular in Book Talk, and it has its own show. I haven't watched the show. I started watching it and I couldn't get into it. Like, I'm really sorry. It is about a story between two people who are navigating how to have a relationship but always seem to be torn apart and then brought back together and torn apart, brought back together. And it seems like a very real story between two people who like want to be together but circumstances kind of prohibit them from being together a lot of the times. Before We Were Strangers. It's a second chance romance between Matt and Grace, and this takes place in New York City. They meet and form a relationship in college, but their paths end up being torn apart, and they come together when they're much older. Okay, and that is all of the romance recommendations. Now we are going to move on to fantasy. I only have one series to recommend you, so we're just gonna get that out of the way. The ACOTAR series by Sarah J. Maas. I have only read up until Court of Frost and Starlight. I'm only 100 pages into Silver Flames, but I am going to finish this either this month or in the fall months, whatever one. The series is so amazing. There's betrayal, the imagery is amazing, and it's perfectly good for beginners. I read this as my first fantasy series, and it was not hard to grasp the world building and the characters and just the places that they were in. It was very easy to grasp, and it is such a good series, so I would highly recommend this one for the fall. Next, we are going to move on to the mysteries and thrillers. Charity by Colleen Hoover. This is a story about Lowen and Jeremy. There is some romance in it. This is mainly a thriller. It follows Lowen, and she is like kind of ghostwriting for this woman and ends up having to live in that woman's house with her husband and children and her. She ends up finding these manuscripts that the woman in the house wrote, and they're just very eerie and creepy, and some things weirdly happen, and it was creepy when I read it, so there's that one. The next book is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. It takes place at a wedding on this like remote island, and there's a lot of secrets and hidden things and a lot of betrayal, I feel like, in the book there also is. Then we have The Silent Patient. This one I feel like is in every thriller or fall recommendation because it's very popular on Book Talk. It's about Theo, and he knows this story about Alicia, who ends up killing her husband and never speaking again, like literally never speaking again, and she ends up going to this facility, and Theo ends up going there because he wants to figure out what actually happened and essentially get her to talk. This honestly shocked me when I first read it. The final recommendation that I have for the fall is The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I read this one relatively recently, and I absolutely loved this book. I feel like Frida McFadden is very popular right now, and I feel like that's a perfect time for the fall. And if you haven't read The Housemaid, it is so good. It's about Nina, and she ends up being in this really sticky situation where she needs a job and ends up going to this rich family, and she ends up getting the job, and the wife is really weird, and the husband Andrew is interesting, and the kid ends up acting really weird, and it's just in a really weird dynamic of the family. She ends up having to live in the attic, but the attic door locks from the outside, so anyone could lock her in, and it's really strange, and the plot twist was insane. And when I read this, I was like, ew. People are freaks. Her writing is super easy to read, and you like never want to put the book down. It was amazing. So that is the last recommendation. I'm going to move on to books that I really hope I end up reading. So first we're going to start off with some fantasy. Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. I have no idea what this book is about. I'm so excited to read this in the fall, as well as Vow of Thieves, of course. I hear this is kind of an enemies to lovers with the minimal romance that's in here, and I hear it's really good, so I'm excited to read this. Next book that I'm gonna read is a very popular one right now, and I'm super excited to read it. It is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, I'm pretty sure, and I am going to read that in the fall. I'm getting that book and I'm going to read it because a lot of people are raving about it and absolutely love the book, like literally 5 stars all around, and I'm super excited. I have no idea what it's about. I just know it's about dragons. I know there's a little bit of romance and it's about dragons. That's about all I know, so I'm excited to read that. Hopefully it'll be in my possession soon. Next, I'm gonna move on to the romance books that I'm gonna be reading. I only have one. The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. This is a paranormal romance, I'm pretty sure. Like, I'm pretty sure as far as I got in, she like can see dead people. And it honestly might be a romance between her and a ghost. I have no idea though. I have no idea, but that's all I know about this book. I got literally 30 pages in and DNF'd it. But hopefully this time around in the fall, the vibes will be there and I can read this. And finally, we move on to mysteries and thrillers. The first one I want to talk about is the second book in like the housemaid sort of duology, which is The Housemaid's Secret by Frida McFadden. I'm really excited to get this book and read it in the fall because I hear that this one is much better than The Housemaid, and I absolutely loved that one, as I said. So I can't imagine anything really better, and I'm excited. I hope I enjoyed this one. And then a series that I'm positive I'm going to be getting this fall is the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I have heard nothing but good things about these books. I have seen everyone read them and they rave about them, they love them, and I am super excited. I honestly have no idea what this is about besides the fact that people basically market it as like a sort of YA Criminal Minds, and I absolutely love Criminal Minds, one of my favorite shows ever. I know it's about these teens who are put on like cold cases, I'm pretty sure, and they each have like special gifts. Like one of them is a profiler, I'm pretty sure, or they're all profilers or something, and they each have like certain abilities that help the FBI. That's as much as I know, but I know the first book is The Naturals, the second one is Killer Instinct, the third is All In, and fourth is Bad Blood. And then finally, I honestly might get this series as well, the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. I've heard great things. The first one is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, the second one is Good Girl Bad Blood, I'm pretty sure, and the third one is As Good as Dead. I feel like it's about a teenage girl who there's something happens in her town and it like didn't get solved, or like they just pushed it away, and for like a school assignment she ends up like trying to recover and figure out what actually happened. I could be entirely wrong, I'm really sorry, but I think that's what it's about. Those are all the books that I recommend for the fall and that I want to read for the fall. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more of my face. I am super excited for the fall, guys. I'm super excited. Like, I've been lighting like a vanilla candle. I'm so excited to go to Bath & Body Works and get like pumpkin candles. I'm gonna thrive, okay? Anyways, but that is the end. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!